Two people walk into the same room, same party, same crowd, same night. The first person does everything right. They smile bigger, talk louder, make more jokes, try harder. The room tolerates them. The second person walks in, says almost nothing, but something happens. People turn, they lean in, they laugh, actually laugh. They move closer without knowing why. And later that night, they'll tell their friends, there was this person, I don't even know their name, but I can't stop thinking about them. That first person went home exhausted, convinced they just weren't charming enough, that they needed to try harder next time. They were wrong. They didn't need to try harder. They needed to stop trying altogether. Here is what nobody tells you about magnetism. It is not a personality trait. It is not confidence you're born with. It's not even charisma. It is a set of specific, proven, learnable behaviors, rooted in psychology, confirmed by neuroscience, and practiced quietly by the most connected people on Earth. And once you understand them, you stop chasing people, and people start finding you. The misunderstanding that's working against you. Let's start with the thing that's actively working against you, right now. Most people believe social magnetism is about adding things. More confidence, more humor, better stories, more impressiveness. So they go out, they perform, they push. And the harder they push, the more people feel the need to pull away. Here's the psychological truth. When you need someone to like you, they feel it. Not consciously. They can't explain it. But subconsciously, the human nervous system detects need like a smoke alarm. It shows up in the slight over-laugh, the over-explanation, the way you agree just a little too fast, the way you check their face after every sentence to see if they approved. People won't tell you you're trying too hard. They'll just slowly stop choosing you. No dramatic exit, no argument, just fewer callbacks, shorter replies, shorter conversations, until one day you realize you're not on their list anymore, and you never knew why. Let me ask you something. When you walk into a room full of people, are you thinking about them, or are you thinking about how you're coming across? Be honest, because that single answer explains everything. The most magnetic people on Earth share one quality. It has nothing to do with looks, nothing to do with status, nothing to do with intelligence. They are genuinely more interested in other people than in themselves. That's it. Full stop. In a world where everyone is distracted, everyone is performing, everyone is waiting to talk, the one person who is actually fully, completely there becomes unforgettable. But here's where it gets interesting, because the fix is not what you think. And if you apply just the first two principles in this video, you will feel a difference in your next conversation. Not next month, your next conversation. The emotional memory principle. There is a principle in psychology so important, it changes how you move through every interaction for the rest of your life. People will forget what you said. They'll forget your stories, your jokes, your credentials, the exact words you used, but they will never forget how you made them feel. This is not just a motivational quote. This is neuroscience. The brain's emotional center, the amygdala, tags memories based on emotional charge. High charge, locked in forever. Low charge, gone by morning. Which means every single interaction you have is leaving an emotional imprint on someone's brain. You are either draining their energy, being completely neutral, forgettable, or elevating them. And over time, sometimes within minutes, people unconsciously sort you into one of those three categories. They don't think about it. They just start calling one person more than the other. There's a woman, let's call her Claire. She's not the most impressive person in a room, not the most successful, not the funniest. But everyone in her office goes to her. When something goes wrong, they find Claire. When they're celebrating, they want Claire there. When they're stuck, Claire. I asked someone who worked with her, what is it about her? They thought for a long time, and then they said, I don't know. I just feel better after talking to her. That's it. That's the whole answer. She doesn't give advice. She doesn't tell people what to do. She just makes people feel better. And that is worth more than any skill, degree, or achievement. People don't ignore you because you're boring. They ignore you because you make them feel nothing. That's the hardest thing to hear, and the most important. So let me ask you, what do people feel when they walk away from a conversation with you? Because the answer to that question is your entire social life. Here's the part most self-help books skip, because it's uncomfortable. You cannot make other people feel good in your presence if you feel terrible in your own skin, because people don't respond to your words. They respond to your energy. And energy is not something you choose in the moment. It is the accumulated result of how you have been treating yourself. The internal critic that calls you stupid every time you mess up, people feel that. The anxiety that you're somehow not enough, it leaks into your posture, your eye contact, the way you speak. The resentment you carry from a conversation 3 weeks ago, it sits in your body, in your jaw, in how you hold your shoulders. Most conversations fail before they even begin, not in the room, in your head. So the first step to becoming a people magnet is one most people skip entirely. Become someone you actually respect, not perfect, not impressive, just someone you genuinely respect. That means speaking to yourself the way you'd speak to a friend, setting a boundary and keeping it, doing what you said you would, even when no one's watching, owning your strengths, owning your flaws, without drama. When you build that inner foundation, you stop needing approval from others. And the moment you stop needing approval, you become magnetic. This is the paradox at the center of everything. The less you need people to like you, the more they will. Remember the second person from the opening, the one who said almost nothing but drew everyone in? This is exactly what they had. Not a better script, not better looks, a better relationship with themselves. What I'm about to tell you is the highest leverage social skill on earth. It's not public speaking, it's not networking, it's not charisma, and almost nobody does it correctly. Let's talk about listening, real listening, not politely waiting for your turn, not nodding while composing your next sentence in your head, undivided, deliberate, deep attention. Here is what most people actually do in conversation. Someone starts talking. They listen for about 10 seconds. A thought pops in, something related, something personal, something they want to say. And from that point on, they're not listening. They're waiting. Picture this. You've had the worst week of your year. You finally sit down with a friend. You start telling them about it. 3 sentences in, "Oh yeah, same thing happened to me. Let me tell you about my boss." And just like that, you're the audience again. You smile, you nod, you listen to their story. But something closed inside you. You won't bring this up again, not with them. Now imagine the same week, different friend. You sit down, you start talking. They don't say a word, they just look at you, fully. And then they ask, "What's been the hardest part?" You go deeper. "How long has it been like this?" Deeper still. 10 minutes later, you feel completely heard. You feel understood. You feel lighter than you have in days. And that friend? You'd do anything for them. You trust them completely. You'll think about them on the drive home. They didn't say anything impressive. They had no great advice. They told no story. They just listened. The person who talks the most in a room is usually remembered the least. Think about every conversation you've had this week. Who do you remember? The one who talked or the one who made you feel heard? The 80-20 rule of magnetic conversation. Listen 80% of the time. Talk 20%. And when you do talk, reflect back. So what I'm hearing is, it sounds like that really affected you. That must have been incredibly hard. These aren't therapy lines. They are the fastest way to make a human being feel understood. And feeling understood is one of the deepest hungers in the human experience. Feed that hunger, and people will never want to stop talking to you. Here is the specific technique that separates magnetic people from everyone else: the spotlight shift. Most people run on this pattern. Someone shares something, you relate it to yourself. You take the story. That happened to me once too. Same with my family. I know exactly what you mean because for me, and just like that, the spotlight moved from them to you. It feels natural. We all do it. It's not malicious. But here's what's happening on the other side. The person feels subtly dismissed, like their experience was just a launching pad for yours. Magnetic people do the opposite. When someone shares something, they push the spotlight back. What was that like for you? What did you do next? How did that change things? And the other person goes deeper, opens up more, trusts more. Here's the psychological truth behind this. People don't fall in love with people who talk about interesting things. They fall in love with people who make them feel interesting. Give someone the experience of being fascinating, and they will spend the rest of the night trying to find you again. We need to talk about silence because most people are terrified of it. Silence at dinner feels like failure. Silence after a question feels like awkwardness. Silence in conversation feels like a problem. So we rush to fill it. We say things we don't mean. We agree when we don't. We laugh at nothing. But here's what silence actually communicates: confidence. Only someone who is grounded in themselves can sit with silence without flinching. Try this today. After someone finishes speaking, before you respond, pause. 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Don't rush. Don't fill. Just sit with what they said. Then respond. Watch what happens to the weight of your words. Watch how people lean in, because you're not reacting, you're choosing. And people trust those who choose their words far more than those who flood the room with them. The quietest person in the room is often the most powerful, not because they know more, but because they've mastered something almost no one has: the comfort of not needing to fill every gap. Before a single word leaves your mouth, you have already communicated everything. Studies show over 55% of how you're perceived comes from body language. Not your words, not your stories, your body. So here's what magnetic body language actually looks like. Slow your movements. Rushed movement signals anxiety. Slow, deliberate movement signals authority. This one shift alone changes how rooms perceive you. Open your posture. Arms uncrossed, chest forward, your full space without apology. Closed posture signals threat. Open posture signals safety. And people move toward what feels safe. Hold eye contact 1 beat longer. Most people break it too fast. Reads as insecurity. Hold it 1 full second longer than feels natural. You'll feel the difference immediately. Face people fully. Turn your whole body toward them. Not just your head, your entire torso. This is respect made physical, and people feel it when you don't. Mirror gently. When they lean in, you lean in. When they slow down, you slow down. This is called mirroring, and it builds unconscious rapport faster than almost anything else. And the smile, not the polite smile, not the performance smile, the real one, the one that reaches your eyes. A genuine smile triggers mirror neurons in the other person's brain. They literally begin feeling what you're feeling. You can walk into a room and change how people feel, just with the energy on your face. That is power most people never use. 2 of the smallest actions with the biggest return. First, names. A person's name is, to them, the sweetest sound in any language. This has been confirmed by psychology for nearly a century. When you use someone's name, naturally, not excessively, something in their brain activates. They feel noticed. Most people forget names within 30 seconds of hearing them because they're too busy thinking about themselves. Here's the fix. Repeat it immediately. Great to meet you, Marcus. Use it once more naturally later. What do you think, Marcus? That's it. 2 uses. And that person will remember you long after everyone else fades. Second, micro-validations. People don't need grand compliments to feel connected to you. They need small, sincere, well-timed acknowledgments. That's actually a really sharp observation. I hadn't thought of it that way. That must have taken real courage. You're in a meeting. A quieter colleague makes a point. Everyone moves on. You say, wait, I think what she just said is worth sitting with. That's genuinely smart. That colleague looks at you, not just with gratitude, with something deeper, with the recognition that you saw them when no one else did. That is a bond built in 15 seconds. No charm required, no impressive story, just attention. Authentic vulnerability. Here's something that will feel wrong at first. People are not drawn to your highlights. They're drawn to your edges. The moments when you're not polished, when you admit you were wrong, when you say, I don't know without flinching, when you laugh at yourself genuinely before anyone else gets the chance. When you're perfect, you're untouchable, and untouchable means unreachable, and unreachable means alone. When you're human, you're relatable, and relatable means safe, and safe means they can be real around you too. And that permission, the feeling that you don't have to perform around someone, is worth more than any impression you could ever make. You don't attract people by being impressive. You attract them by making them feel safe. We need to redefine confidence because most people confuse it with loudness, dominating, interrupting, needing the last word, redirecting every story back to themselves, performing certainty even when they have none. That is not confidence. That is anxiety, wearing confidence as a costume. True confidence doesn't overpower, it stabilizes. It doesn't need to win the conversation. It doesn't need to correct everyone. It doesn't rush to fill silence. True confidence allows. Think about the most respected person you've ever worked with. Were they the loudest? Probably not. They probably spoke less than everyone else. But when they spoke, the room went quiet. Not because they were louder, because their words carried weight. And weight comes from restraint. Influence comes from consistency. Trust comes from showing up the same way, every single time. The no-need paradox. This is the most important thing in this entire video, and it is a paradox. The more you need someone to like you, the less they will. The more you need validation, the more hollow it feels when you get it. The more you need an interaction to go a certain way, the more it goes wrong. Because neediness is felt before it's seen. It changes your energy, your posture, your word choice, the way you laugh at their jokes, the way you check your phone after sending a message. People feel it, not consciously, deeply. On the other side of that paradox, the person who doesn't need anything from you, who is present, warm, genuinely curious, but completely fine whether you like them or not, that person is fascinating. They feel like solid ground. In a world full of people who need things from you, that is extraordinarily rare. The moment you stop needing the interaction to go a certain way is the moment it starts going better. How do you build this energy practically? You build a life you're genuinely satisfied with, independent of what others think. You stop outsourcing your mood to other people's reactions. You pursue things you care about because you care, not for the story it gives you at dinner. You become the source of your own energy, not the receiver of others. When you get there, even partially, you will feel the difference in every room you walk into. Every magnetic person has one thing in common. They have been rejected. Many times. Misunderstood, dismissed, ignored, disliked. The difference isn't that it didn't affect them. The difference is what they told themselves about it. Most people internalize rejection as, something is wrong with me. Magnetic people reframe it as, this wasn't the right alignment. Not every person will respond to your energy. Not every room is the right room. Not every moment is the right moment. Like, that's not failure. That's selection. And the moment you stop treating every rejection as a verdict on your worth, your energy stabilizes. You stay warm. You stay grounded. You stay open. A person who becomes cold after one bad interaction, unreliable. A person who stays warm, consistent, present, even when the last conversation was hard, that person is a safe harbor, and people will cross oceans to get to safe harbors. Remember Claire? The one everyone at her office goes to? This is her entire secret. She shows up the same way. Monday, Friday, hard week, easy week. Same warmth, same presence, same attention. Not because she's performing it, because she's built it. Remember that room. At the very beginning of this, two people walk in. One tries everything. One barely says anything. And yet somehow people gather around the second. You understand it now. It's not magic. It's not personality. It's not some gift handed out unevenly at birth. It is a series of small, specific, practiced choices. To be genuinely curious about others. To listen without waiting to talk. To be present without performing. To validate without flattering. To be vulnerable without seeking sympathy. To be confident without needing to dominate. To show up the same way every single time. These are not difficult things. They are rare things. And rarity in human behavior is what creates magnetism. Now think of the person in your life who makes you feel the most understood. The one you'd call at 2 a.m. The one who makes every conversation feel like the best you've had in weeks. What do they do differently? They probably don't have the most impressive credentials. They probably don't have the most polished delivery. But they are present, they are real, and they make you feel like the most important person in the room. That's the whole game. Attraction is not about becoming someone new. It's about removing everything that is not you. The performance, the fear, the need for approval, the noise. When you strip all of that away, what remains is someone who listens deeply, who speaks with weight, who shows up consistently, who makes people feel understood. That version of you, the one underneath the overthinking and the performing, is naturally magnetic. Not because it's perfect, but because it's real. And people don't connect with perfection. They connect with what feels true. So the question is not, how do I attract more people? The question is, what am I doing that gets in the way? Remove that, and the room will find you. If this shifted something, subscribe to the Outlier Minds, because once you understand why people do what they do, you stop reacting to the world, and you start shaping it. The next video goes even deeper. I'll see you there.